जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह।
हाँ जी, इंद्रप्रीत जी, you will start, ਤੁਸੀਂ start ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਨਾ we are going to continue Pauri 16 and ਭੁਪਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਗਾਬਰੀ ਜੀ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ, he will start with the brief introduction for few minutes.
I think to be honest, I didn't get a chance to read thoroughly the blog post on this Pauri, but thodi bahut Harbinder Singh nal gal hogi si meri, and yeah, as he had mentioned, I think for first 10 minutes we're going to get a synopsis of ya to pichli wari ki gal hoi si on this Pauri and the overall Pauri, and how is the main topic I understand was Panch. So Panch, which is what the Pauri starts with, digging deeper into that was done, and we take it from there, and how that Panch emanates through the whole Pauri, not just the first 4 lines of the Pauri. I think that's an important aspect that should be discussed. So Bhupinder Singh Gabri ji, is he on?
Hanji.
Hanji. So if you can tell us about 7 to 10 minutes introduction, and then we'll continue the discussion after.
Panch Parwan, Panch Pradhan, Panche Pave Dargah Maan, Panche Sohe Dar Ajan, Pancha Ka Gur Ek Firan, Jeko Kare Kehe Vichaar, Nanak Ke Karte Karne Swar. If we go back to the Kim Suchara Hogi, Kim Kure Tutte part, so basically in this body, who is going to be Panch? Panch means who has gone above Surya Avastha. After Sunan di Avastha to Manan di Avastha to baad manne की बात कही ना जाए, जेको कहे पीछे पछताए, कागज कलम नाम लिखन हार मनने का बह करन विचार. It shows that the person who has attained a level of Sunan and Mananda, he has gone above Turiya Avastha, Tragunta Utte, which is called the Chotha Pad. So this is a supreme state of mind which Guru Sahib says ke Panch Parwan, Panch Pradhan, Panche Pave Dargah Maan, Panche Sohe Dar Ajan. This quoting shabad is Guru Sahib Panch Manaye, Panch Rusaye, Panch Vasaye, Panch Gwaye, in bid Nagar Gutta Mere Pai. So Kam, Krodh, Loh, Moh, Hankar, we got to leave it. This Sunni, after Sunni and Maniye, the status of mind reached to the extent that he has to depart Kam, Krodh, Loh, Moh, Hankar, and get into the state of Sat, Santokh, Daya, Taram, Dheeraj, ya Sahaj. So Guru Sahib, Panch Manaye, Panch Rusaye, Panch Vasaye, Panch Gwaye, in with Nagar Vutha Mere Pai. This is how my Nagar means my mind is totally acceptable to the Lord. This quoting Shabad, I have got few of them. We can go through. Kam, Krodh, Maya, Mad, Matsar, Ek Helat, Sab, Jue Har, Sat, Santokh, Daya, Taram, Sach, E Apne Grah Pitar Ware. So Janam Maran Chuke, Sab Pare Pav. Guru Sahib Shabad ke andar ke these are the things to depart and to accept it, to reach to the level of supreme. So this defined very clearly when say कि मन्ने की गत after सुनन the अवस्था को सुनिए सिद्ध पीर सुरनाथ, those who has mindfully listened and accepted the concept of Narankar, the creator, and then he is to dissolve in himself totally, dissolve in the sense of is to get out of the status of Kam, Krodh, Loh, Moh, Hankar, and get into Sat, Santokh, Daya, Taram, Sahaj. So Guru Sahib, I can refer one more Shabad, Sat, Santokh, Daya, Taram, Singar Banao, Safal Suhagan Nanak apne prab pao. Pao means then we are acceptable to the court of the Lord. Kam, Krodh, Trishna, Hankar, Tinte hoye Sagal khai, Sat Santokh, Daya, Dharam, Such, Santan te e ਮੰਤ ਲਈ ਸੋ these ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸਪੋਰਟਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੰਜ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਦਇਆ ਧਰਮ ਤੇਰੇ ਹੀ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਸੱਚ ਲੈ ਲਓ ਸਹਿ ਲੈ ਲਓ this depict clearly in these shabad. I can give one more. Jit karaj sat santokh daya dharam hai gurmukh bujhe koi gurdware hamra vihaw ye hua jahan seh milya ta janiya. So basically he merged back into the Almighty. The Panch Avastha is the supreme, where he is not within the Trigun. He is beyond, which is called the fourth dimension, Chautha Paturiya Avastha. So I can refer one more Shabad, Panch Shabad Darge Vajya. Har Milios Mangal Gayo, Sat Santokh Shabad At Sital, Saj Pai Liv Laya, Tre Vartaye Chauthe Karvasa. So basic concept I find Panch means Sat Santokh Daya Dharam Saj. Once we get into that state of mind, we get beyond the Trigun, which the Guru Sahib कहते हैं Trigun बद्दी देवरी जो आया जग सो खेल और फिर आगे कहते हैं मान रे Trigun छोड़ चौथे चितला. So that fourth dimension, what he is mentioning, is a Panch. That's what I would say. Thank you.
Okay, Ji. Thank you, Ji. I think, and that's what probably was also discussed last week, that there is some level of attainment has to be achieved to be in the category of Panch that Guru Sahib has laid out. And Virji's, I guess, perspective was that it's someone who has attained the different guns as he had described. And I think one of the things that we want to do is maybe either based on what Virji just shared with us, or Harvinder, did we go over the particular lines? Do you want to do it that way, or keep it still at the high level overall idea of the whole body?
I think last time we covered the first 4 lines.
Right.
And yeah, now we have 2 options. Either we can continue with the other lines, or we can just discuss the main mukh pav ki hai pauri da, and focus on the main, like what is the main message in the body. So either way you want to go.
So I guess a question I would want to ask the panelists, and maybe I don't know what order we can use, but maybe I see some new faces. I don't know if they were there earlier, but Gaurav Singh is there. Dr. Ajay Singh, I see, is come after a while. I've also myself come after a while, so that doesn't. And maybe Jaswant Singh also. Jaswant Singh really from Singapore, I think, is there as well.
Yep.
So maybe
if I may ask a question.
Anji.
I wasn't here last week, but was there a discussion of the lines Dal Taramda Ka Put? Those lines, were they considered, talked about?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So perhaps we should get into. Obviously, the literal translation will not hold. We will have some.
Yes. So yeah, I wanted to do 2 things. I think is if. Between maybe the 3 of you that I mentioned, the first question happens to be if you take the whole body or the whole, the message Guru Sahib is. We have discussed early on, all the podis are interrelated. There's a theme, there's a step, per level of going to a different level per podi, but this podi probably has some concrete ideas, 1 or 2 at a high level. So maybe we can just start on that. And then the second thing I want to do is, I think the Panch 4 lines have been discussed, and let's continue with. And there's a discrete section about, I will call it a metaphor, or this whole idea of tol taram der kaput. But then we stick towards the metaphors part, and I think that'll.
Yeah, but we do have to visit every one of those lines. Application.
Exactly. But first, let's go over and get a view on the higher ideas in the Pauri. Gaurav Singh, would you like to start? A couple of minutes.
Sure. And actually, very pleased to be here with you all. This is my first time attending, and actually, I only had a brief few hours to just read through the Bani because I'm jumping in through Japji, the most complex Bani, and it's a daunting task to begin with. Manna and Panch. The question that was coming to me was, and maybe I missed some of the strains, and they may have been there prior discussions, was that who is being talked about, and I heard a little about attainment, and the way, and again, it occurs from the worldview that we hold, the model that we build our understanding upon, and so I actually am not referring to anything outside of Jagannath that I've already gone through in order to justify whatever notions that I may have or hold. So I really go back to the Ik Onkar, which is the core of everything that occurs. So who is being talked about here when we're talking about Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan, Panche, Pavana Dargah Man? And I take it that it is I, the traveler, the one who is on this path, whoever it happens to be, that is engaged in this path, that is in this avastha. And if I have earned something, it is not something that I carry with me like a bank balance, because I live in the moment. Akal Purkh, Akal Murat di avastha hai. It is a timeless being. Most of us, as we are living our life and engaged in the world, are acting not in the present. We have baggage of our past and lures of the future. And they may come out of some creative aspects, but mostly out of fear, out of self-preservation. So what is being talked about here, and I think that was a fundamental question that I was exploring, is Panch, this avastha of Panch, the one that is a listener, and am I listening to, or where am I listening from? And manne di avastha hai, the one of resolute being, where does that arise? And if I am acting out of that, is this, am I at war with myself? Am I fighting with myself? अपने आप दे विच मान है कि नहीं? कि मैं actually मान बाहरों लोच रहा? Am I trying to look outside of myself to find this respect? Or is it that in my own being, in the core of my being, that respect is lacking when the Sunna and the Manna, the Avastha, is not present right now? And Kana, we talk about, and this our propensity is to satisfy ourselves with knowing and talking about. But that's not what this is talking about. And then it goes right into purposeful living, which is the Tol Taram, Dea Kaput, which again, leaving the other metaphor aside of the Bal, of the Bald, but what the Taram is also the purpose for my being. And I really want to open up that as to what is the purpose of my being, and that is only known to me when I am connected in this resolute being.
Okay, thank you, Gaurav. So I think that's a different perspective, I think, from and it's actually a very I like the way in how the Suniye and the Maniye avasthas or Pauris, as described by Guru, are interrelated to the Panchvaran. So that really gives credence to the, how the Pauris are developing, and Guru Sahib is exposing, layer after layer of, a worldview that he's presenting. So it's clear that there's and I think another thing you said was that after the description, or after what is the attainment of this Panch, he goes into more about the the Tol Taram Daya Kaput, and I think it's about creation and universe and what's our relationship with everything that is around us, and how knowing and having a particular relationship with what is around us really then impacts the way we live in the world and interact with society. So Jaswant Singh Virji, would you like to give another kind of as best as you can in a couple of minutes, in 2 minutes, section of the Pauri, then the kind of the the creation or the universe section of the Pauri with the conclusion?
Okay. Okay, but I think this body is a very comprehensive, and it is, we cannot say that the whole body is just talking about one concept. The body has some different parts. So like the Panch one, is beginning from Panch Pravan, it ends here, Pancha Ka Gur Ek Dhyan. And then further it moves out to a little bit, maybe it is interconnected, but Tol Taram Daya Ka Put is, I think we need to look at and reflect on those 3 lines again, that what is that Tol Taram and Daya Ka Put. Anyway, for the Panch, I think I would like to make it more simple, right? And I think that's how the Gurbani goes, and it is, of course, for the ordinary person, for every one of us. To me, of course, the Panch is related with listening to and then accepting those teachings of the Guru in your everyday life. So to me, to define what is this Panch, we can look at the 4th line, and to me that's enough, a beautiful description of the Panch. Pancha Ka Gur Ek Dhyan. The Guru becomes the focus of the mind. This is very much related to the 6th body again, where we heard Mat Vich Ratan Jawahar Manik Je Ik Gur Ki Sikh Suni. So I think this should be the focus, teaching of the Guru. If that becomes the focus of your mind, if that becomes the whole essence that you would like to develop on, that you would like to lead your life, we hear from the world. So I think to me this is very simple. Panch are the people, those who have listened attentively to the Guru's teachings, and not just listen, they have accepted them, they have applied them in their lives. So this is what is going to make you Panch. And last week also I referred to another tuk, which is a beautiful definition of the Panch, which says Pancham Panch Pradhan Te Jeh Janyo Prapanch. Prapanch hunda the world. Those who have understood, those who have realized the phenomenon of the world, the realities of the world, and they are able to detach themselves from those vices we call, or evil influences of the world, and are focused to the Guru's teachings. So to me, that's what makes you a Panch. Okay.
Okay, all right, thanks. I mean, yeah, I think already there's been mainly focus has been on the Panch aspect of it, and I think, like Dr. Ajay Singh said, maybe it makes sense now to repetition in Gurbani over and over again. Sections of the Guru Granth Sahib that's been described. But as Dr. Ajay Singh was saying, I think it makes sense for us to take up another aspect of this Pauri, which is to do with the infamous, bull story that the world is being carried by a bull. So
but don't forget that that's not uncommon in human experience. That's sort of an idea.
Yeah,
the Hindu mythology gave us a bull,
Uncle,
and the Greek mythology gave us Atlas. The word rests on the shoulder of Atlas.
Yeah, so can I give you maybe 2 to 3 minutes to give your view set on those lines that are specific to the metaphor, and in the context of this Pauri, what is Guru Nanak really trying to present?
May I say something here, please, for a second?
Sure. Okay.
Before we move on to the next one, let's be very clear about the first four lines, what we have been talking about. We did speak about this thing last week too, and we are still talking about that. There's some things which are not clear. It might be a good idea where wonderful people like Dr. Jaswant Singh, Dr. I.J. Singh, other people are here. Let's come back to these four lines, and I have a few questions to clarify, to seek clarification on that. One is Dr. Jaswant Singh ji just said that what we heard in the previous 8 bodies, that Suni and Mani Guru Di Sikhya. The question I have, first question I have in mind is very clearly Guru Sahib say, Aisa Naam Ranjan Hoy. And last time when I heard Dr. Jaswant Singh ji, and the question possible is to him, Guru Di Sikhya and Naam, are they synonymous? My question is, Guru Di Sikhya came to existence only 500 years ago. But the creation of this universe, Guru Sahib Kandene, is based on Naam, which is billions of years ago. So Naam and Guru Sikhya cannot be synonymous, because Guru Sikhya is Guru Gyan, Guru Sahib ne which put together now. That's my understanding. The second thing is, Dargah, the word Dargah. Let's expand on that, try to understand that. There are a few of the clarifications I would like to seek before we move on to the next one, please.
Okay, so I guess, and I recall multiple weeks ago you had that same exact question.
No. I didn't.
What is Naam versus what is Guru Di Sikhya? So, but that's fine. I think because I wasn't here last week. If Jaswant Singh Virji, if you want to maybe present your view on, is there a difference? Is there first of all, of course, there's an etymological difference, with the vocabulary of the words, but at a theological level, that what Sikhs understand as either Naam or Guru Ki Sikhya, is there any fundamental difference in that, or related?
I think I would like to agree with you what you have just said about that. Maybe etymologically there seems to be a difference in that. But from the Gurbani's own perspective and from the conceptual view, the teaching of the Guru and Naam at certain level becomes the same. I would just like to share 2 Gurbani tuks. One is, E Bani jo jiya ho jane, tis antar rave har nama. So here seems to be there are 2 things, but at the end of the day, when you realize the Bani's essence and apply it in your heart, Vaheguru's Naam comes to be enshrined within you, comes to dwell within you. And there's another tuk in which it says basically both are the same, and that tuk is Gurmukh Bani Naam hai, Naam Hriday Vasai. So I mean, to me, of course, looks to be that Guru's teachings and Vaheguru's Naam are somewhere seems to be 2, but they are not so different as we look upon them. At the end of the day, if you truly practice the Guru's teachings, the Guru's values which are being described in the Bani in your daily life, I'm sure you will enjoy all the blessings of that Naam that we hear, and that we understand that it's going to exalt your life and going to elevate your life. So to me, again, of course, that is there, लिखिया होया ऐसा नाम निरंजन होए, पर ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਆ ਵੀ 6ਵੀਂ ਪੌੜੀ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਮਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਤਨ ਜਵਾਹਰ ਮਾਣਿਕ, ਉੱਥੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੇ ਇੱਕ ਗੁਰ ਕੀ ਸੁਣੀ. So we can see that both these words, Guru Sikhya, Guru Shabad, at many levels, they are used as synonymous. That's all.
Yeah, and also another thing I would like to add to that, the comment that Guru's Bani is only 500 years old versus Naam is billions. Actually, at another level, again theologically, the Guru Sikhya, because Gurbani is timeless as well. There's no confining it to a particular period and time frame. We may have confined interpretations, but if we open that up, that any enlightener's teachings, Guru Sikhya, is also billions of years old. That Shabad begins when Ik Onkar begins. From that level. So again, that's not Literally, that wouldn't be the case, but when we interpret it at a theological level, it ends up like that. So I think on this topic, it'll come every time, and it's a valid question coming every time, and we can discuss it in the context of every Pauri where Naam and Guru's Bani are both referenced. Shall we, I think you had another question about Dargah.
Dargah, I think again also that of course in Gurbani
comes from the Islamic tradition, whereas this Tol Taram idea is from the Hindu tradition. So again, not only does Guru Sahib shatter time constraints, he shatters religio-cultural constraints as well, and he mixes things to give us a new or brand different perspective. So we could go into the details of the word Dargah. My preference would be, at least for now, is to move a little bit forward, and we can come back to help us understand those few lines that relate to that metaphor. That would be appreciated. Idea, Uncle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I have trouble. The sound keeps breaking up, and I don't know if it's a problem in my system or my head.
No, I'm also facing the same thing.
But you see, if the way I just heard this discussion, can I add my 2 cents worth to it?
Yeah, because we want to get to your metaphor discussion as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you want to do that in a minute.
If Vaheguru is timeless, and that by definition is, right, no matter what religion we're talking about, if Vaheguru is timeless, so is Naam. Naam does not mean specifically a name or specific language or a specific time frame. So then the Naam then to me is like the awareness of that Vaheguru. If you live in that sense of awareness, not the Jyot Swarup that's within you, state of Naam. So in that state then, that too is timeless. Now Guru Nanak restated that in the time and context and the language of a certain era and a certain culture. And that's why we have the poor bull sitting there, God knows, in thin air, nothing to support him, holding the earth on his head. And of course he puts the matter to rest. But he speaks Muslim era, as you said, and the Muslim influence and the cultural realities. He talks about Dargah, the Dargah Payeman. Now, Dargah as the court of God, but there is no, that's a very anthropomorphic design that we have, like human beings would have a court. I have an office, and when students come there to complain or to look at their grades, they think some of them think I'm going to hang them. And that's where we designed a God. So I don't think we should translate these matters literally. We don't need to. And that's why the thing about the ox or the bull as well talks about Dal Taram Daya Kaput, again talking about qualities, virtues that are needed, which a bull may or may not have. That's not the point. So I think all of Gurbani needs to be interpreted metaphorically in many ways.
Okay, Uncle. So would you help us a little bit with I mean, it was a prevalent thought in that time. That's why Guru Nanak brings it up, as you said.
Of course,
when he says,
if you're going to communicate with students, you got to speak in the context and the language and the culture of the student.
Hanji, Hanji. So when he says Santok Thap Rakhya Jinsut, right? Tol Taram Daya Kaput, Santok Thap Rakhya Jinsut. And then it's sort of like a challenge or a question. Jeko Bujhe Hove Satyar.
Yeah, he who understands. He who understands. So, and the rare one will. I guess that's implied in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you would indulge me, do you mind if I just take a stab at constructing a model which may be able to resolve get to.
Again.
You're cracking up.
Yeah. Everything is cracking up.
Yeah, Gaurav Singh ji, can you hear us?
Yeah, shall I go on?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay, so I think, and also this also brings in that question about Guru Sikhya and Naam, and I believe that if we are to understand it, there is a distinction in the two, and you know, and understanding it very literally, even from Guru Granth Sahib and Gurbani, it doesn't go back 500 years. We have Sheikh Farid in here, so it's definitely older. But really, what is Gur? It comes back to the question of what is Gur, what is Sat Gur, and it is the way of being. It is the Jivan Jach. It is how to be. And now, and I'll take just 1 minute to quickly go through the journey that I took while coming to this body. And it comes out of the expressions of oneness, which is the Ikko Ankar to Gur Prasad. Talks about the nature of one in Ad Sach, Jugad Sach, which is the authentic with beyond time, transcending time. And then it goes into a very interesting thing, and I want to juxtapose that here, which is the futility of doing. In the very first body, it talks about socha soch, chupa chup, pukhya pukh. And all this is cunning. It's simply cleverness. And if we're fooling ourselves, and who is this one that is fooling oneself? Is the person who is fractured. There are two. There is an antagonism. There is fear. There is self-preservation. And I'm acting out of that. And all of that, it's not going to bear fruit for me. It is not going to give me value. It doesn't work. Because the fundamental question is, we come back to Satyar. The one who gets it. You know, Bujja comes from Bujharat. And people in the old villages would know, they did it a lot more than we do. They were sharper. They would have puzzles, and they would, in their words, they would use linguistic tricks to keep themselves sharp, and really, through poetry and other medium, one who gets it, this was a puzzle, a riddle. It is to get a riddle. Riddle isn't sort of something that one takes, you know, 1, 2, 3. It just comes together. And when it comes together, and then it's there. You got it. So, and taking it back, it talks about a doing, being dichotomy. In pher ke agge rakhiya, jitte se darbar, muh ke bolan boliyan, because this is not going to work. It's really about the power of being, and that is where Naam comes in, which is Amrit Villa, Sach Now, Vadiyai Vichaar. And I want to put forth that Naam is that being. When it is that Satnam, it is that authentic being which is not fractured, not living in a world of us and them out of fear, but actually integrated and fearless. And that's where compassion being born, that's where my purpose comes forth. It actually takes birth through compassion, through love, through being connected. And that is only when I actually get santokh, which is contentment. It is through being connected. Rakhya jin soot. And one who gets this, Jeko Bujja, who and then the question is, Tavla upar keta par. And that's talking about the next podiya I find very interesting. The next liner are talking about weight. How much weight are we carrying on our heads because of the religious doctrine and the mumbo jumbo that we give so much weight to? We are so significant. And the more religious we are, the more significance to doings, to actions, to what we are saying, but rather than who we are being. And that's a world of a difference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gaurav. I think the connection is a little choppy today. I was able to hear you, but for certain periods of time it would go silent. And then it would kind of automatically, catch up. But I think let's continue to stay on the good connection with the previous parties, and it's always good to show the similar words like Satyar came in the previous parties as well. It's coming over here, and the understanding Santokh bhi aaya si. But if I may now ask Ranbir Singh ji, Uncle ji, if you want to help us for a couple of minutes to share your views on this whole section of this party related to the metaphor of Tol Taram Daya Kaput. Are you able to do that? Ranbir Singh ji?
मैं सुन रहा जी, मैंने आवाज बड़ी घट आ रही है, आई डोंट नो व्हाई।
हाँ जी अंकल, हुण बेटर हैगी है
आवाज मैं कान नाल ला के सुनना पैंदा, नहीं सुनदा नहीं। Normally I can put the telephone on the table and listen to everything.
आज ना अंकल कनेक्शन बड़ा पुअर हैगा, but I think we can hear you fine.
That's very good, at least it's one way. Okay. Actually मैं तौल धर्म दया का पूत ते फेर आवांगा। पहले पंच परवान पंच प्रधान ते डिस्कशन हो रही सी ते मैं लफ्ज परवान जड़ा Guru Sahib, I searched through Guru Granth Sahib and tried to list what Guru Sahib says about Parvan, and I think I feel comfortable that I happen to be right in that this means people who have Suniya and Manya, who have Suniya and Manya, like अब मन हर मूल पछाणे ता सो जाने, मन जीवन की सोझी होई, गुर प्रसादी एको जाने ता दूजा पाव न होई, मन साथ आई वजी वधाई ता हुआ प्रवान। यूं कहे नानक मन तू जो स्वरूप है अपना मूल पछान। This is one of the examples where Guru Sahib says that once you understood God and you understood about Maya, then you will be Pravan. Sejan Pravan hoye, jini ik naam jੜਿਆ ਦੁਤੀਆ ਪਾ ਚੁਕਾਇਆ। ਇਉਂ ਕਹੇ ਨਾਨਕ ਧਨ ਸਵੇਲਾ ਜਿਤ ਮੈਂ ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਸੋ ਸੋ ਚਿਤ ਆਇਆ। And there are numerous references of this type, and it seems to me that the words pradhan and pravan are used together at some places. That people who are pravan, they are also pradhan. And I also found that the word pradhan has been used by Guru Sahib even for Akal Purkh. Akal Purkh is pradhan. And I think it's quite important to note there was discussion about whether it means exalted person or not. And I have also seen a reference where Guru Sahib says, Jin Bani Suni, so Pravan. And so we have here Suni and Mani both coming in to define who is Pravan. Then coming to the second question, like here I'll give you, Kya savna, kya jagna, Gurmukh te pravan, jina saas giras na visre, se pure purkh pradhan. This is another reference. And Guru Sahib says, Aat pehar man har japay, safal janam parvan. So I'll not belabor this point. I think we have plenty of examples. And if somebody wants to know, I can list these references and email them. Then the was Tol Taram Daya Ka Poot. And Guru Sahib is telling us that in Hindu philosophy, Tol is the one supporting the earth. And Guru Sahib says, Tol is just Taram. That's like, these are, some people call them laws of nature. And Taram is sort of, it's the principle, scientific principles are Guru Sahib's hukam, according to which everything is supported. It's a Daya Ka Poot from this hukam, and this through God's mercy. And I would say that Akal Purukh was very kind to us, was merciful. He created the Sukham, and that is like the Sooth, which is, through which everything is connected. Sai Srishti Sooth Puroi, Apne Hukam Naal. So I think we can go on with the discussion beyond this. Thank you.
Indra, you there?
Oh, sorry, I was speaking and I was on mute. Sorry. Thank you, Uncle Ji. So I think we have Charan Singh Ji, Dilpreet Veer Ji, and Paramjeet Singh. If we have now, I think enough time to go have all three of you pick up. Looks like, well, based on the discussion so far, I think there's a lot of leftover open ideas and questions from last time, especially related around Panch. So feel free to either dwell more on the Panch Parvan, Panch Pradhan idea, or let's stick to the Tol Taram Daya Kaput idea. And that way, Harvinder, looks to me that this party is going to take even more sessions to cover fully.
I think that is fine. I think we continue next week, so we can cover all three participants and see how much time is left.
Hanji, exactly. So how about Charan Singh Ji to see shuru kar lo, and then we still need to give time to Dilpreet Veer Ji and Paramjeet Singh.
Thanks. My take on this party is that Guru Sahib here is mentioning about the Sabad only, the Sabad that resonates in every one of us, and the Sabad that resonates in the whole cosmos. When Guru Sahib mentioned the Sabad that is inside and the outside, that has the same characteristics. And what are those characteristics? That is the faculty of listening, speaking, seeing and understanding with the concentration. So from my perspective, the micro level individual who can speak is connected to the macro level cosmos that uses the same set of faculties to sustain itself. And that's what I think Guru Sahib is referring when they say Taul Taram Daya Ka Poot Santok Tha Prakhya Jinsur. Scientists have not been able to find the reason behind the gravity or what was the gravity when the Big Bang happened. However, my understanding is that Guru Sahib has very clearly answered that question, that what was the unit gravity when Big Bang happened, and that answer comes from when we understand the Sabad that resonates in every one of us. And that is what Sabad that resonates in us is the Taram. That Taram is the connectivity. Through that connectivity, the whole cosmos is connected. So the acceptance of that Sach, that Sat Shabad in us is the only criteria that makes us acceptable in the code where the Guru dwells both inside and outside and is connected through the sooth of Nam, through the sooth of that Taram that resonates in us. So from my perspective, it's evolving perspective, I may be wrong, but that's how the thing is, that the Jyot Swarup, the resonating Sabad inside is the same as the resonating Sabad in the cosmos, and they are connected with each other through the Nam, and the characteristics that inside and outside have the listening, speaking, reading and reflecting through the dhyan, through the attention. So attention is the main thing which we have to understand. We should not be lacking on ignoring any lagamatar in any of the vocabulary that Guru Sahib has used in Gurbani, because that reflects, are we attentive to reading, reflecting, understanding the Gurbani, or we are just rushing with it. Most of the time we find we try to just rush up with the vocabulary, ignoring the lagamat. Fully dig into what used oncred at some place and at other place. Does it make the same sense? That takes us to a different layer of meaning, and eventually we end up the connecting the micro level individual to the macro level cosmos. That's probably to me the entire gist of this body. And Guru Sahib, in other words, in ahead also says that several people have mentioned that the Woody Kalam, the whatever creator has written in the outside world, has been given the power to human also to write the same way. We can do the listening, speaking, reading the same way as the creator has done. But then Guru Sahib's final verdict is that "ए लेखा लिख जाने कोई लेखा लिखिए कहता होए," right? So oh, he knows that. So we have to bow before that sabad that resonates in us and that resonates in the entire cosmos. So this body, to me, summing up in one line, is a combination of micro as well as macro connectivity through the sabad, and that sabad is the punch, that sabad is the taram, that sabad is the resonating jyot inside as well as outside. Thanks, Ji.
Thank you, Reggie. As usual, very enlightening and different interpretation than a lot of others. I also agree that the Laga Matra at least give you, if you can't understand it deep enough, at least gives you an indication of the context, and the grammar gives you a context in which the sentence has been created. So it's important to focus on those as well. Either Panch Parvan section or the Toltaram Daya Kaput section of this 140, or interrelate them either way. Prithvirji, could you hear us?
Oh, yes, I am here. I think sometimes the connection, we missed the name part when you were talking. So the way I see this is, the Japji Sahib starts with a question that Kiv Sachiara Hoiya, Kiv Kuda Tutte Pal. And in every body, I think we are getting that answer. It is becoming more and more clearer, or Guruji is trying to give us that answer from a different perspective, different angle. And as we come through these bodies, he is also explaining that this is the way people think they became Satyara, but then he is giving his perspective. And then in this line, he is again saying that Pancha ka gur ek dhyan, that is the way how you will become Satyar, or how we will change ourselves. So again, whole Gurbani is to change ourselves, and how we can attain the good qualities. It is the attainment of the good qualities within ourselves. And now and again, in towards the like manne and sune bodies were there, and then towards the end of this we will also see Guruji will tell that jeta kita teta now win name nahi koi thao, that everything is naam, without naam nothing exists. So he is taking us towards that kind of thought. And with that said, I see naam is a energy or a inspiration. It is not something which will make us sit. It is full of energy, and then that is what we talk in our ardas also, that जिन्नी नाम जपया वंड के छकिया देग चलाई तेग वाही चरखड़ियां ते चढ़े आरियां नाल तन चराए गुरुद्वारियां दे प्रबंध सुधार हित कुर्बानियां दत्तियां. So that is what something naam is, that it is the inspiration or the motivation, or it will never make you sit. So Guruji's naam is not the Vedic Naam where you have to sit and look for sound or something inside you and you will get Gyan. It is the inspiration. It is full of energy and full of creativity. So that is how I take this line. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ji. I think that was another, relating the previous stories to what is Panch, and maybe it's this is a good segue for Paramjit Singh ji to kind of maybe present his perspective, because Naam was mentioned, Gur Sikhya was mentioned, so in that context, or in general, Virji, if you want to share your thoughts on this Pauri and the few sections of the Pauri that we've covered so far for a couple of minutes.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to come back to that Toltaram Diaga Put, Odinia, Chi line, and those 6 lines which we are talking about right now. Let's focus on those lines rather than going back and talking about Nam and Sakya. My understanding of these lines, and that's my understanding anyways, and it may be different from other people, Guru Sahib is not mentioning Tol, the metaphorical word they used. Basically, what they're saying is this is the Taram. Taram, which is, we have to understand what Taram is. Taram is all the noble actions, deeds, and thoughts. The very existence, very stability of this universe, this earth, depends upon that Taram. Guru Sahib tries to underscore that. Tol, he is calling Taram as a Tol. That is a fundamental thing which is providing stability, common sense, sanity to this universe. This is very important. Out of these, all the last 3 lines, in my opinion, Tavle upar kita par tarti hor pare hor tiste par tale kamjor. These are the side comments Guru Sahib made for those people who cannot become Satyara, who don't have the depth to understand. They simplified it by asking the question: if you believe that Taram is not this one, if you believe Taram is that bull, then I ask you this question. Basically, he's underscoring the fact that Taram itself is providing the stability of that. That's my understanding of that. And rather than getting into any debate, I will just leave it at that. One comment was made earlier. I don't want to get into that, but I'll write on the blog on that. But that is my understanding.
Okay, yeah. So the Taram, the questioning aspect is definitely coming out from that section of Tol Taram Dya Kaput. If one believes that there is a bull that's providing stability, then further questioning is helping the person understand कि किस तरह हो सकता है, and really the Taram is the one that's providing stability. And in your perspective, you were mentioning that Taram is the more the idea of duty. I think in the blog I had read there are 2 aspects of Taram. One is natural law or divine will or divine law versus duty or actions and deeds, etc. So, and like I always say, both can apply based on the context with which the interpretation is done. Harvinder, would you like to actually add anything to this discussion? We're coming up on the time right now. It can't be related directly to the show.
Yeah. Hello.
Anji, Paramjit Singh ji?
Anji, can I just clarify one thing what I said earlier?
Sure.
So that I don't leave a misunderstanding here. When I pick up any book, the knowledge provided in a book could be talking about a phenomena which is hundreds, thousands of years old. But the knowledge which comes to us is only when that knowledge is made available to us. Same way, when I look at Guru Granth Sahib, Guru Sahib consolidated all the knowledge and presented the knowledge, and he is talking about a Kalpak, which is right from the beginning to Haga. It does not mean the knowledge existed at that time, but knowledge was made available to us that was all around us. So, free sabdi bani ho sakdi hai Guru Granth Sahib, but the knowledge which came to Sikhs, Guru Sahib ne consolidate ki knowledge to Sikhs to become Gur Sikh, came only, in my opinion, is about 500 years ago. Although the knowledge existed there, but it came to us there only then. In that sense, I was saying that Guru Sahib, the Sikhya jehdi hai, ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ that's available over the last no question about it. So that's why I was saying that Naam existed all the time. Asaji Diwali, Guru Sikhya, as came to the Sikhs to us, was available only 500 years ago. Free Sabdi Bani was existed there, but when it became available, nobody read it. At least I never read it. I read it only during the last 500 years, Sikhs read it. That was the point I was making. So that's why I differ. The Naam is much more than the Guru Sikhya. Guru Sikhya is one component, Naam is very different. We have to be clear about this thing. And I'm not very clear, so I just throw it open.
Okay.
And
yeah, like I had mentioned, I think so I have been going through Gurbani meetings for now. It's been about 15 years, and I can tell you, guaranteed, every time there's these dichotomies that are ingrained within interpretation of Gurbani. One is, of course, the divine will versus personal choice, right? The whole idea, which is also a Judeo-Christian, interpretation that's all of our youth and everyone thinks through that lens. And also, what is Naam is like a perennial question that comes in every Gurbani meeting, and because there's no concise definition that anyone can provide. So it's very healthy, very valid, and I think it's going to continue on. There will be not one answer that would be applied to either different schools of thought within the Sikh faith, or even every individual will have their own interpretation of Naam. So I think it's very valid. So what I actually, we are out of time, right, Harvinder? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So yeah, I think we will give everyone like last 30 seconds to sum up their for today, and then you can conclude after that.
Okay, let's do so. I think it was Pupinder Singh Ji, the first one who spoke.
Hanji, Pupinder Singh Ji.
Hanji, so we'll just go down the line. Pupinder Singh Ji, like Harinder Singh is saying, 30 seconds. So as short as possible, just one concluding remark.
तो सवाल करम दिया का पूर्ण संतोख था प्रख्या ने सूद देखो बुझे होवे से प्यार तबले ऊपर केता पार. The concept is the cosmic law. So everything is binded. Santokh means it's within the law of the nature. Nothing can go beyond. And everything is netted together like a santokh means like a suit in a garment. Like we have motis and the suit inside, which is invisible, but everything is as per the suit. Santokh means suit. So basically, it's a cosmic law which is governing into the nature. This is what I can say.
Thank you, Ji. Charan Singh Ji.
Like I said before, the sabad that resonates inside and the sabad that resonates outside is the same. Kita pasao eko kuao. Whether it is the cosmos or the individual human beings, the same sabad resonates in every one of us. All we have to do is just recognize the internal first so that we can connect and get absorbed in the external one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Gulpreet Singh Ji.
This line reminds me of the definition of the Khanda or the symbolism of Sikhism, which Khanda is, that this whole creation is created by the Creator and it is existing because it is supported by the Creator. I think that the message I am getting, a similar message from this. Dal dharam daya ka pool santokh thap rakhya jinsu. Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Ji. Gaurav Singh.
Okay. Actually, I would rather like to end with some questions for us to perhaps look at. That who is being talked to here by Guru Nanak when he's talking about Jot Pradabhava Sai Palikar Tu Sada Salamat Nirankar. So who is this Tu? Is this all-knowing, ever-present, omniscient one that we are talking to and reminding as if he, she forgot? What is the context within which this exploration is occurring? That's it.
Okay, thank you, Ji. Dr. Ajay Singh Ji.
You put me in a bind. I suppose when Guru Nanak is posing those kind of questions, and you ask who is he talking to, he's talking to your internal self. You know, when we talk of Mantu Jot Sarup and that kind of thing, it's talking to the internal self, internally what we are. It's not talking to somebody sitting out there somewhere, in some place, in some floor, some different zip code. So it's a conversation for the distracted mind to focus. That's why the Guru Ek Dhyan, to focus and to cool it, to calm down, and to connect to the one within. And that's the essence of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. Paramjit Singh Ji.
Well, what the Gaurav Singh Ji raised, well, we'll come back to that. Somebody has said, don't think about that. Coming back to these Panch Purvan, Panch Pradhan, I think Guru Sahib is just saying in the spiritual sense, not in the empirical sense, that people who have progressed from Sunni and Mani stage and became Panch, it is you can become, I can become, we follow Sunni and Mani, and then in the spiritual sense that we are Purvan, the worldly sense, the true sense, Guru Sahib can, then in that sense, you are Pradhan and you are Pradhan. And Randigal, I already spoken about that, and I will leave it for others to comment now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ji. Ranveer Singh Ji.
There's nothing for me to say because I think a lot of views have been presented, and the only thing I can say is when I read Guru Granth Sahib, no matter who's Guru Sahib talking to, he's talking to me. It's the way I feel.
Thank you. ठीक है, हरविंदर सिंह जी.
हाँ जी, I think we can conclude now. I think आज बढ़िया हो गया. I think we'll continue. I think on this body next week. We will.
No, but you give your 30 seconds as well. What would you get out of this?
Don't get off the hook.
I thought I was off the hook today. So, but
Not today.
No, I think I agree with most of what is said, and I think especially the Gaurav Singh Ji question and IG's uncle replied like that. I feel that everything we need to find within ourselves. So once we are connected to ourselves, we will be connected to outside world also better. So I think, and then all these bodies are trying to just reiterate us to suniye, maniye, and then attentive listening. So basically, andar chati mariye, and then once we connect to our inside, jo andar Vaheguru baitha hai, then we will see his jyot outside too, and become a better human being.
Thank you. So one thing I wanted to conclude here with, and it's probably not related directly to this body itself, is so I just came back from an experience in August time frame, teaching Asakiwar to a group of young youth from all over North America, and one of the things that comes up every time is Guru Sahib, obviously in Asakiwar, first few bodies, is also dwelling on creation and creator. The nature of nature, I call it. And why do we even need to discuss that? What is the purpose? At Tivi, Guru Nanak, in the first few bodies, and it continues in the other bodies where you talk about universes and how creation came into being, or should we worry about it, should we not worry about it? It is whenever our community needs to go out and present ourselves with a worldview, this is the foundational material we have to present our worldview. The problem we have been having, our community has today, is sanu apna worldview nahi pata, which is exposed to us here in Gurbani, ki horanu dasan jogi asi kisna bani. And the kids are bombarded with Judeo-Christian thought at the Westwich. Back in the homeland, they're bombarded with either definitely Hindu thought, but also Islamic thought, in confusion and khichdi ye hoi gayi hai. Whereas over here we have a unique worldview, and one way to look at Japji Sahib is also Guru Nanak Sahib having a dialogue with the other religious, cultural, and political, units of those times, and answering their questions and presenting his own worldview as well. So this is what's going on over here, and this is why this Gurbani or Khoj Gurbani is so important. Agar document ho jana sade ideas and discussions or interpretations of Gurbani, this has to become a resource that's accessible to the youth so that they can, start understanding our unique worldview. So, and it all begins with what is creator and how did creation come into being? That's the perennial question. Somehow, for some reason, mankind is struggling with. Guru Nanak has given us the treasure, and extract the answers from. That's all I'll say. I thank you everybody, all the panelists, for giving their views. Let's continue with this. Again, it's going to be all about creator, creation, naam, guru ki sikhya, acceptance of hukam. Those are all of the subjects that continue coming over and over again. And let's look at it from that context of why we're indulging in these type of conversations. Thank you very much, and have a good evening or good morning wherever you all are.
Wherever you are.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.